Joe and Jason here on this Thursday. This is our last show of the week. Matter of fact, this is our last show until Wednesday. Jason and I are taking some time off of the 4th of July holiday. So before I forget, happy 4th of July to everybody. Be safe. Have a great time. Celebrate this nation. Listen, this is a great nation. Let's not mistake it. But we all know, and really what we're all wanting is it for to be better than what it's been, right? We've taken this country back and making it prosperity and prosperous for everybody, not just the few. And, of course, getting rid of the central bank would be a great way to start. And I got to tell you right now, what a absolute crazy start to the markets this morning. We got a revision to first quarter GDP. Of course, we get this all the time. You know, they at the end of the first quarter, they'll say first quarter GDP. We started out at I think it was 1.1%. That was the number going back into April. Then in May, they said, well, you know, we've gotten a little more time to look at the data. And we think it actually grew at 1.2%. Now, of course, at 1% GDP or 1.1 or 1.2, whatever it was. Hey, probably a real good idea. That pause, you know, getting ready to stop raising rates, right? This was back when they were going a quarter of a point, and a lot of us were like, man, that's not a good number. That was a terrible number, 1%. And I'm like, man, by this summer, this is going to be a big problem. Well, today, this is what they call the final revision, which is not the final, by the way. We'll get a final revision sometime next year. I've been doing this for 20-plus years. I don't recall. I'm sure it maybe has happened once. Well, I know it happened during the financial crisis. Because during the financial crisis, they were saying, well, the GDP, it's only down like 1%. And then by the time you got the final, years later, okay, well, it was really down 4 or 5%. You got to remember all of these crazy seasonally adjusted stuff that they do. But this morning, they actually said first quarter GDP grew 2%. So almost double what they had originally said. And, of course, at that number, you're like, well, you know what? You probably shouldn't even be going quarter of a point, right? You should be going half point still because the economy's way better. This was their reasoning for slowing things down. Now, of course, guess what? Look at what it's done, because now we still got more rate hikes to go. Whether they did it on purpose or not, I don't care. Doesn't matter. Here's the thing that everyone's got to remember. The higher rates go, it's kind of almost like bonds. Like bond yields going up is actually bad for bondholders. It's kind of the opposite of what you would think. The higher the yields go, the higher the new all-time highs are going to be in gold. It's just that simple. And guess what? They're going to go considerably higher, which, again, like we said, hey, all as they did, they gained 90 days on this whole thing. So I really think they're going to try to hold this together. Got to remember, we're getting ready. I hate to even say it, but election season is coming. Are they going to be able to hold this thing together until that? I don't think so, but I think that's what they're going to try to do. 800-951-0592. And Jason, man, we had gold absolutely getting jack stomped on this morning. And now it's come and done a complete 180 and is all the way back. The August contract, which is the contract you're going to see on TV right now, it touched $1,900 and then shot right back up. Right now, gold's off a couple of dollars, $19.19. Silver's down 25 cents, but it has been a wild ride. This big, huge revision to GDP saying, hey, the economy was a lot stronger than the Fed was telling us. But maybe that was the reason why they were able to do just these little quarter points. Can you imagine how many banks would have failed if they had to do half points?
Maybe they will. We'll see, right, Joe? I think it all matters where the narrative goes, where this market's headed, and I think it's very rigged. I've said it for many, many years, ever since I've been on this show. It's rigged. Sometimes I think it's rigged. I mean, almost all the way, because things never ever make real sense. It all comes down to addition and subtraction. They can do all the funny math and all the weird big words and say all the things they want to say, but what it really comes down to is adding and subtracting. And so I would not be surprised if we have rate hikes going into next year, and I wouldn't be surprised if they halted and paused, but it all has to go with where are the markets headed, where is the economy headed, Joe, and I think they're going to try to spin a happy economy for as long as they can right now.
We'll be back right after the break. $800-951-0592, Joe and Jason on this Thursday, the final show for us as we prepare for the 4th of July holidays. The Patriot office, we will be open half of a day tomorrow. So the office will be open half of a day tomorrow. It will be closed Monday and Tuesday. The radio station will be closed Monday and Tuesday. Everybody will be back on Wednesday. Remember, you can always go to allamericangold.com and order 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're going to have a great holiday special for you coming up next. But a quick look here at the markets. The Dow and the S&P are down. The Dow is down only about 30 points. The S&P, it's down. Well, I'm sorry. I apologize. I had it on the run. The Dow is down 200 points. The S&P is down 11. The NASDAQ is down as well. Gold, 1920. I'm going to tell you that it's down. Let's just call it $2 here. I'll round up to $2. I'm trying to check here on Kitco real fast because that's London. London's got it up 380. So you guys can pick here which price. Right now in London, 1912. Obviously, that is the current price. I get the contract price, which right now we're in the August contract for gold. Silver is down today in both places, $22.63. If you're tired of this, and we should be, this is the revision for GDP this morning is ridiculous. If that you're telling me that's the best they could do. That somehow wait a minute, guys, we were wrong. GDP was actually double what we said. That's ridiculous. That's not even close. How are we supposed to make, they tell us, you got to have money in your 401ks, you got to have IRAs, you got to call Joey and have your financial planner help you. How are we supposed to do things when you can't even get us in the ballpark of what the numbers are supposed to be? That's why, you know what, I'm going to tell you right now. Get some of that money over at Y-Refi, up to 10.25%. Guess what? Right now, your 401k today is getting hammered because these guys couldn't get us in the ballpark on GDP. InvestYRefi.com. You got to have $50,000. I know that sucks, but that is just where it is. But you can get up to 10.25% returns. It's not correlated to Wall Street. It's not correlated to the Fed. It doesn't care about made-up phony numbers either, because that's what this is. How did they miss it so bad? Well, they got made-up phony numbers. That's how. check them out. InvestYRefi.com. That's the word invest, the letter Y, REFY.com. Or call them at 888-Y-REFI-24. So the big news obviously had to do with this huge revision on GDP. But then jobless claims comes in, right, every Thursday. Now, we've had big jumps here, right? The last, 3 weeks, 260 plus, way down today. So we had two really bad numbers for the Fed today. Revision to GDP, huge, in the wrong direction, which says more rate hikes. And then jobless claims falling to 239,000, a drop of over 20,000. And then big declines in California and Texas. I don't know that it means anything, but Jason, these are numbers that Jay Powell probably hated seeing today.
I know. It's so backwards. You should be wanting jobless claims to be down, right? We're in this backwards situation where, that it's considered bad that jobless claims have dropped. But, it's not what the Fed wants because they're trying to attack inflation and not have to hike the rates higher and make everything more expensive. But, we'll once again wait and see because this number will go up. There is as you talked about, you're just locally, Joe. I like the stories of when you just look around your own area, and people aren't coming to the restaurants as more. People aren't buying stuff quite as much, so the extra income's going away, and then pretty soon the businesses won't have any extra income, and they'll start firing people, Joe.
Well, I'm going to say this: the 10-year note, 3.83 now and rising. It's been even higher than that this morning. Rates to buy homes are going to go up. We're getting a rate hike. You can almost guarantee a rate hike coming here at the end of July on the 26th. And then remember, come August, a little cruel trick played on everybody. The Treasury needs to start auctioning a lot more long-term treasuries. Why? Because so much debt is coming due that they're having to sell almost 20% of the marketable debt every month. It's overwhelming. Remember what the short yields have done. I mean, you've got a 6-month yield pushing up on 6%. Big problems here. But what does that mean for us? That just means that rates for cars, homes, your credit cards are going up, even though you're like, well, wait a minute. I know the Fed, we think they're hiking in July. Pretty sure they're hiking in July. But why are rates going up so much more than the quarter point they hiked? That's going to be why, right? Because all of a sudden, all of this free money, Jason, isn't free anymore.
No, and it's never been free for us at the bottom, but it's going to get severe. It's already gotten bad. I mean, but here's the thing, is it really bad? It's just because we've been led down this 0% interest rates for so long that this all looks bad. These should be normal rates, Joe. This should be normal, maybe a little lower than this, maybe a little higher than this, but now this is like considered horrible. Isn't that crazy? These should be normal loan rates, right, Joe?
This
now
is
they're
absolutely right. Normal's probably the right now. Somewhere 5.5. That's totally normal. The only time it hasn't been normal? This millennial. That's it. This is the only time it hasn't been normal. And we know, come on, use a little common sense. Just breathe for a minute. I got to tell myself, I'm so fired up today. Number one, because it's the last show and I get some time off. But number two, man, gold is going to crush it. Silver is going through the roof. I'm telling you. I know it's kind of weird. Why are you so giddy? Because this is how bad it really is. Rates have to go even higher. But that makes sense. What happens when you, for 15 years, pull buying power forward. Because this is what the Fed. So what are they trying to accomplish? And maybe that's where we need to start with this, Jason. What are they trying to accomplish when they lower rates? Simple. They want you to purchase something now that you weren't going to necessarily purchase maybe down the road. And I'm not talking about a hamburger, right? I'm not talking about groceries. Right? We're talking about big things. Hey, we're going to make a car cheaper to buy now. Right? Why? Because, well, you're going to get charged less interest. We're going to make homes cheaper to buy. Right? We're going to make debt, like lines of credit and all this other stuff. All of those payments are going to get less. So we're talking, we want to pull forward big expenses. How about if you're a business? All of a sudden, well, you know what? Maybe I am going to buy a bigger building. Or maybe I'm going to buy a building, right? You know, who knows? Whatever. I'm going to go out because, and let me tell you, you know this. Banks were called blowing up my phone. Joe, you need any money? Literally. Hey, do you need any money? You want to buy some equipment? They're calling me. Joe, you got equipment you need to buy? Because we got this new program out, and, man, you can buy it and look at the rate's only going to be 3%, and, you know, what do you need? You need to buy stuff? Right? Maybe I'm going to buy a truck. I'm going to buy this, whatever it may be. Right? So they're trying to pull purchases forward. Well, guess what? They've done it for 15 years. So now what's going to happen? Well, guess what? Banks ain't calling you, are they? They calling you? Huh? Any bank calling you, asking you if you want to borrow money? Nope. Sure ain't. No, number one, because they don't want to lend you any, right? Number two, so might as well save my breath, because when I tell them what the interest rate's going to be, right, they're going to say, yeah, no thanks. So this pendulum swing back is going to be significant. And the problem is, like everything else, it's always got to go too far, right, Jason? So we thought we'd be done at 5. Dude, I hate to say it, but remember that clip we played from Bubba Horowitz? Remember?
Yep.
And Bubba Horowitz was saying 6 or 7%, right? Jamie Dimon kind of said the same thing. And I was wrong. I said, no, that's not going to happen. You know what? I was wrong. Jason, I think it's going to happen. This is great news. And actually,
rates will go up.
It's bad news. It's great news, but bad news.
Rates will go up as high as they have to if inflation doesn't stop, Joe. If they can't stop it, if it gets out of their control, you'll see 8. You'll see 9. Yep. Why would they stop? Well, they'll go to 10 if it gets out of their control, Joe. And they right now, it seems like they really want some inflation because they're not really attacking it as hard as they could have for a while now. You know, to me, this is 2018. When it comes to gold and silver buying, Joe came on the air and wanted a partner, and I jumped at the opportunity. I knew the next emergency, the concocted emergency, was coming. I didn't know how soon, but I knew it was coming. And this was a way for me to get into the gold and silver business bigger than what I was doing. And we were selling $20 Liberties at $1,250 and $1,300 in 2018. And people weren't buying a lot of gold. Joe, one of the reasons Joe brought me into Colorado is because he wanted to get Colorado sales up. And people weren't buying in 2018. In 2019, they were not really buying. But here comes the emergency, right? They raised interest rates. About the time I came on, they were raising interest rates. And then 2019, things went wrong. They dropped them. They went into emergency mode, and here came COVID. And now it's scarcely that we're selling for $20 gold pieces for less than $2,000. That's where we're at right now. You can buy this stuff now when you got what I consider low gold prices, or you can wait and say, yeah, man, well, maybe this won't happen for a year. Great. You want to time it? Go for it. But you know what, Joe? You got the money. You got the fraudulent reserve notes. You got that funny money. Just put it away into something now and just sit back and watch the fireworks, because our fireworks are coming, Joe.
I'm going to say this right now. This is kind of a hard thing for a lot of people to understand. Jay Powell reiterated it again yesterday.
Yep.
Which is, there's only one way. I'm sorry. I wish there was another way. I do. There's only one way. That's why when I sit here and I tell you, listen, This isn't going to be everything's A-okay and everyone's going to drive off into the sunset and nothing bad was going to happen. It's not that. Millions of people need to be out of work. Period. I don't know how many more times Jay Powell. That's not me saying it. That's what Jay. And I guess I am saying it, right? Yeah. Because I know that's the only way. Guess what? Everyone's got to have less money to stop buying stuff.
You know, he said that inflation won't get back to 2% until 2025, Joe.
For years.
What happens when we're there? Is it going to be 2027 when we get there? He says inflation's not going away. He just said it for 2 years more.